Stop comparing. Matter of fact, let's start excelling your unique path to productivity unveiled. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For you smart, intelligent folks out there, listen, we're not going to make it hard. We're not even going to make it complicated. That just simply means ED. I have a quote for you today. Today's quote is entitled, or I should say, the man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. When you fall in love with the journey, everything, and I do mean everything, else takes care of itself. Trip, fall, pick yourself up, get up, learn, and do it all over again. That's by Jonathan Bird. If you know, I have an 8-point framework. If you don't, I have an 8-point framework. In these 8 points, I plan to unpack today's title, which is entitled Transitioning from Procrastination to Productivity. Boy, do I struggle with procrastination at times. But when I get it right, I get it right. I'm just being transparent. I know a lot of people will act like they're the expert in it. No, I'm not. My goal is always to get 1% better, especially when it comes to procrastination. So I'm hoping these 8 points will not only help you, but it helps somebody else that you know. First point, perfectionism trap. We starting off really strong. I know. See, family, I remember when I first got caught up in the whole perfectionist mindset. What does that mean? See, it had to just be perfect. It had to be so right. It had to be so accurate. And it's a good thing to make sure things are accurate. It's a good thing that you check your work, maybe even double check it and make sure that everything adds up. However, when you start doing that, you start finding yourself navigating in a different aspect of meaning, navigating in that perfectionism trap. And that perfectionism trap simply means that you've done all the double, triple, and quadruple checks, but now you're going back in again and again. I have to be honest with you, family. It comes from, sometimes it could come from a lack of fear. Sometimes it could come from a lack of, man, you just don't want to look bad in front of your peers or even yourself, which is, I get it. But we must acknowledge, we must understand that seeking perfection oftentimes hinders progress. And then we have to embrace the good enough to understand that mistakes are part of the learning and growth process. That is huge. I'm going to say that again. We have to embrace the concept of good enough and understand that mistakes are part of the learning and growth process. You have to understand. I started the video, well, I should say, before I led into my points about that Jonathan Bird quote. And what Jonathan was saying was basically the ability to continually to get up and to really learn and grow from your actual mistakes. Hey, family, I really, truly appreciate you watching today's episode. Please hit that like, hit the subscribe. And if you're new here and you've been watching, come on, man, show your boy some love. By the way, we have a newsletter as well as, family, I've done something really special for you that I'm going to pin in the comments. It's more or less, it's really like a 7-point framework of project management strategies that I recommend if I was just getting started or if I was just wanting to improve on my project management skill set. These are some of the 7 points that I will look at. So, hey, family, check that link out. It's again, I'll pin it in the comments for you guys so you can do that. Now let's get to work because this is what we came for. Point number 2, work-life imbalance. Listen, I understand this whole thing about work-life balance, which is often touted, which is often, expounded upon. But what I want you to understand, family, instead of striving for an ideal balance, let's aim for realistic integration of work and life that acknowledge and accommodates your personal and professional needs and limits. Listen, I would love to say, especially in this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management, that you may not get a call one night saying, hey, we need you to jump on a call because something happened with the software that we're implementing and a customer actually went down. I wish I could say that won't happen to you, family. I wish I could tell you that you won't get a call when you're at lunchtime and this is your dedicated designated lunchtime, and that all of a sudden you may need to jump on a call or you may need to go visit a client. I wish I could say that wouldn't happen to you, family, but it does. This is part of the job. However, I will say this, here comes the balance, because I know I'm going to be attacked if I don't give the balance aspect of things. Here's the balance: is when you do have those times where you can take it for yourself, don't procrastinate, and taking the time for yourself to recenter yourself, go ahead and do that. Don't start scrolling through YouTube. Okay, maybe I'm talking about myself. Don't start scrolling through Facebook. Okay, maybe it's not you, maybe it's me who does that. Don't start scrolling through TikTok. Okay, I like to see them get jiggy with it too. I know that was an old term, maybe I'm outdating myself, but point I'm trying to make, family, is we have to understand is that when we do have that downtime as project managers, we do need to take that time and really just focus on us. Be where I love what Jim Rome said about this, and I'm going to really go in on this point a little bit more, because the point of it all is that it's imperative that we take that time for ourselves. And by taking that time is really just focusing on keeping the main thing the main thing. And I'll just leave it at that, because I get so excited about, you hear these conversations about work-life balances, which I'm definitely open to. And I think I know it makes sense to have that. But sometimes that work-life balance gets off kilter. And when it gets off kilter, sometimes we have a problem of responding, of getting it back on kilter. Let's move on to point number 3. Point number 3, the guilt of downtime. I've been guilty of this, family, for the longest, I say probably the first 4 or 5 years of my career. I really wouldn't go and do what they call taking a rest and relaxation, meaning going on vacation. I would do stay vacations, and I realized that the whole point of going on vacation, it doesn't have to be like you're going out of the country. I mean, hey, go and visit a friend, within the city or the state or something of that nature. Spend time with family. That to me is vacation, because I mean, just interacting with family, because normally you wouldn't have that time because you may be so focused in on work. It really helps the long term of productivity. And most important here, what we talk about in stress is mental health. So understanding taking breaks is not a sign of laziness or weakness, but it's a necessary part of the sustainable work ethic. I will say this, and I hope I don't make anyone mad, but if I do, then it's just part of the job. We do have to understand, though, sometimes people manipulate that or misuse that aspect of taking breaks, meaning they overtake a break, where they take a break and they don't never come back. Okay, maybe you don't know what I mean, Ben. What I mean by that is that they'll take a break and say, okay, I'm gonna go take a 30-minute lunch break, and they gone 4 or 5 hours. And you're looking for them like, what happened? No, family, what I am talking about, we're professionals here. We know what a break is. So let's not try to blow this out of proportion. Let's not try to make it more difficult or more challenging than it has to be. Let's look at it from a common sense standpoint, and let's move on. Point number 4, the illusion of multitask. I've shared this in many videos. One of my favorite books that first got me to really wake up about this whole thing of multitasking was the book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Reason why this book was so important in a point in my life where I was at, I was trying to do everything for everybody. Okay, you don't like that. I was trying to be everything to everybody, and I found myself that I forgot about me. I forgot about umro numo. I forgot about what I came here for, which was basically to assist and lead the actual project, to assist and lead of where we currently were to where we currently need to go. And I was doing multiple tasks, and I was putting 20% here, 30% here, another, and then a 50% here. Yeah, that does equal 100% for everyone that's doing the mathematics on that. But the point I'm trying to make is, family, is that I wasn't just locked in and focused on one task at a time and focus on that task, knocking that out and moving to the next one. And I'll be honest, because I know a lot of people won't be transparent with you. Sometimes I'll fall back into that old habit, because it's easier to say that I got all of these things done versus getting one quality thing done at a time, saying I got this knocked out, then moving to the next thing and to the next thing, versus trying to do 3 things, and these 3 things never really get fully done. They got to get halfway done in a sense. So anyway, let's move on to point number 5. Point number 5, my favorite, the fear of failure. Message, anytime I say message, family, that just basically means this is very important. When I say message, this means this is something you need to pay attention to. I don't care about the rest of the video. I don't care about what they said. I am explaining to you, we must confront our fear of failure head on. I love what Kobe Bryant talked about. Rest in peace, Kobe. What he said was, he said, failure is not real. Okay, maybe I missed you right there. He was saying, and this is my own remix, so I remixed that thing. And what he was saying was is that failure is the way that we perceive or we look at it. So if for me, when I first went after my PMP and I didn't pass it, to me, it looked like failure. To me, it looked like I missed the mark. But see, I didn't know what I was becoming in the journey. See, I didn't understand, like I said in the beginning of this, before we got into the 8 points, when I talked about Jonathan Bird and I talked about his quote where he talked about the journey instead of the destination. Sometimes we get caught up in so much of the destination, we miss the fun or the experiences we learn along the way in the journey. This is why I love this thing called project management, because the journey is so amazing. Yes, it's great to finish the project under, within a budget, within making sure we didn't mess up the scope or by doing some crazy things, making sure that the actual schedule is on time, making sure the quality is great, and we finish all those things. But the experience that I gained through leading a project, you can't even compare that, because of the fact of who I become during each project, the relationships that I build during that whole process. So family, we have to understand, we need to understand that failure is a natural part. Again, here's this big word, learning. And the learning process is just an essential step of moving towards success. So when you look at failure, look at what you're becoming during the journey. That's how I look at it. And I'm not going to say, sometimes I do get frustrated, like, man, I wished it didn't go that way, but it's part of the journey. Sometimes I look at it and say, why did that have to happen to me? It's part of the journey. So when you understand that, when you have a different lens, oh, I like that. You have a different set of lens to it. Now it's able for you to be able to say, okay, this is how I'm going to attack it moving forward. Okay, I fell down, let me get back up. I fell down again, let me get back up. The day you choose not to get back up, to me, that's when I say, now you went from a failure to you've just failed, because you made a choice, not a decision, a choice not to get back up, because you're flip-flopping between the two. Let's move on, family. Point number 6. Being more consistent versus busy work. I don't know about you, family. I've had a lot of busy work. You ever had busy work? What is busy work? Busy work is you thinking that you're being productive, but you really didn't accomplish the goals that you said you were going to accomplish. That's why they always say, keep the main thing, meaning if you put out on your list or your task or your milestone, and hey, these are the tasks that will allow us to achieve this milestone, and we're not hitting these tasks, we're doing other things outside of that is not really relevant, but we assume. We know what assumption, the first 3 letters of that means. But what I'm trying to say here, family, when we go to the assumption mode, like all these other items are going to help us achieve this milestone, and it doesn't, it really sets us backwards. So we have to understand, busy work can really get us in trouble versus being more consistent at the thing that we need to accomplish. Let's move on to point number 7, the paradox of choice. You already know how I feel about choice and decision. Sometimes we have to limit our choices. We have to use techniques like batching smaller tasks or setting specific daily goals so we don't get overwhelmed. A lot of reasons when you start procrastinating is because you have so many things that you have to do. That's why milestones in a project schedule is so important, because it's sort of like almost like a stepping stone, the way I look at it. Now, everyone may have their own thought about it, but the way I look at it is like, okay, we've knocked out this piece. All right, now let's I even got a better example. It's like chipping away at a big rock or boulder as you're almost creating a masterpiece in a sense. So as you're chipping away at each one of these milestones, you're starting to see the actual end result or the output of the actual project. project. So instead of just having a whole bunch of tasks, which you need, sometimes you can't tell, okay, where I'm at. So these tasks have to align with the actual milestone. Point number 8, again, one of my favorite things: cultivate discipline. Listen, this is the unspoken insight about discipline. I hate to even say this because sometimes I fall short. I fall guilty of it. Establishing routines and habits, they'll keep you on track. I wish I could say it was something different, because sometimes I don't want to do my routine, and I know my routine works. I know that when I wake up in the morning, being able to put on some a personal development video or a personal development speaker, I know it works because it has an effect on how I start my day. I know it works because it gives me an opportunity to already start with the mindset like, I'm going to attack today, and whatever comes with today, I'll handle it. Family, I have 2 bonuses. My first bonus for you today, this is the most important bonus if you don't care about any of the bonuses I've ever shared with you. We have to learn, you have to learn, I have to learn the importance of saying no. And when we don't understand the importance of saying no, it will hinder us, because now we turn into a people pleaser. And what a people pleaser does is, this individual is trying again to be everything to everybody else and lose the value they've developed for themselves. So having the ability to say no, or if you don't want to use the word, because see, no doesn't need an explanation. No is no. If I say, hey, no, I won't be able to do that, then that's just what it is. We're going to have to figure something else out. But there is a but, and I say that, with the intentions of saying that you may have multiple things that may come up, and you need to prioritize what are the most important things. The last and final bonus that I want to give you, and it goes back to routine, is develop a routine when you're starting these tasks. Listen, again, your rituals are something that will help you stay organized. Writing down a to-do list on, even within your project, even in your personal life, will add a lot of value. So family, hope you enjoyed today's video. I go by the name of ED. Until next time, I'm out.